You think you know the age of the dinosaurs? Giant lizards roaming freely, dominating the land, the ultimate rulers of their world. But what if I told you they weren't always at the top of the food chain? What if I told you there were monsters bigger, faster, and far more terrifying that stalked them, hunted them, and sometimes tore them apart? These weren't the creatures from bedtime dinosaur books or neat museum skeletons. These were predators so brutal, so perfectly designed for killing, that even the mighty dinosaurs had reason to fear them. Tonight, we're going back, way back, into a world where the hunters could be even scarier than their prey. And trust me, once you see what was out there, you'll never look at dinosaurs the same way again. The late Jurassic sun bakes the cracked earth, heat waves shimmering above a dry riverbed. Herds of young sauropods move slowly, their long necks swaying as they search for food. At first, everything seems calm. Then silence, the kind of silence that means something's watching. From the shadow of a ridge, a shape emerges. Its head is low, tail rigid, eyes locked on the herd. Allosaurus, not the biggest predator in history, but in this time and place, a nightmare on legs. 30 feet long, with a mouth like a bear trap, each tooth curved and serrated for tearing through flesh. The young sauropods shift nervously. They know the Allosaurus doesn't charge right away. It stalks, pacing just out of reach, waiting for a weakness, and then it strikes, muscles coil. Dust explodes under its feet, and in seconds it's on them. One unlucky juvenile trips, and the predator is there instantly. The sound isn't a roar, it's the wet, tearing noise of teeth meeting flesh. Within moments, it's over. The rest of the herd flees, leaving the Allosaurus to feed in the boiling sun. But Allosaurus wasn't the only nightmare. Move forward in time to the late Cretaceous, and the land is ruled by giants, but also by shadows. Tyrannosaurus Rex, the one predator even schoolchildren know by name. But forget the movies. The real T-Rex was far more horrifying. 40 feet long, weighing up to 9 tons, jaws strong enough to crush bone. Scientists believe it could sense prey from miles away, not just with sight, but with an incredible sense of smell, like a bloodhound crossed with a crocodile. Picture it, a herd of triceratops grazing peacefully in the dawn mist. The ground begins to vibrate. Somewhere, deep in the fog, there's movement. Then, the outline, massive head, thick tail, each step shaking the earth. The T-Rex doesn't roar like in the films. No, it's almost silent, the way a lion stalks a gazelle. It waits for the right angle, and then charges. The impact is violent. One triceratops goes down, its frill shattering under the force of the bite. Blood sprays, the smell thick in the air. This is nature at its most raw. Predator and prey locked in a battle older than humanity itself. And yet, even T-Rex had enemies. Move to the rivers, and you meet something different. Dinosaurs, an ancient crocodile that could grow over 30 feet long, with a bite force greater than any land predator. Imagine being a hadrosaur coming to drink from the river's edge. The water looks calm, until it explodes upward in a frenzy of scales and teeth. The hadrosaur doesn't even have time to scream. In one motion, Dinosaurs drags it under, the river turning dark with blood. Dinosaurs feared what was in the trees and grass, but they also feared what was in the water, because once something like Dinosaurs had you, there was no escape. But the scariest thing? These monsters didn't just kill for food. They killed to survive in a world where competition was merciless. Every kill meant a few more days of life. Every failed hunt could mean death. And in this prehistoric arms race, only the most perfect hunter survived. Our journey into the world of dinosaur predators has just begun, and the further we go, the stranger and more dangerous these monsters will become. Some didn't look like anything we'd call a dinosaur at all, and yet they could bring down giants. The Cretaceous world was not a paradise. It was a brutal, unforgiving arena where even the mightiest giants could fall in seconds. And if you thought all the killers walked on land, you'd be wrong. Some came from above, silent as shadows, striking with speed and precision that no dinosaur could outrun. High over a dusty plain, the air shimmers with heat. A small group of juvenile pterosaurs wheel in the sky, their leathery wings catching thermals. Below them, A lone ornithopod, small, quick, but still vulnerable, searches for shoots among the rocks. It has no idea that danger is coming not from the bushes, but from the sky. Suddenly, a massive shadow sweeps over the ground. Quetzalcoatlus, one of the largest flying animals in Earth's history. With a wingspan of nearly 40 feet, it dives low, legs outstretched, beak like a spear. In one swift movement, it grabs the small dinosaur, lifting it from the ground as it thrashes helplessly. There's no roar, no chase, just a sudden, quiet vanishing into the clouds. But while Quetzalcoatlus ruled the air, the oceans were home to their own nightmares. Imagine the warm, shallow seas that covered much of the world in the late Mesozoic. Schools of fish glitter in the sunlight streaming down through the waves. Then, the water around them goes dark, not from a cloud, but from the shadow of a creature so large it dwarfs even the biggest predators on land. This is Mosasaurus. Think of a crocodile stretched to over 50 feet long, but faster, with paddle-like limbs and a tail built for speed. It could launch itself at prey in an instant, jaws snapping shut with a sound like breaking stone. Dinosaurs that strayed too close to the shore risked being dragged screaming into the water, swallowed whole by something that had never even walked on land. And it wasn't just size that made these predators deadly, it was strategy. The dromaeosaurs, for example, were not the biggest hunters, but they were among the smartest. Picture a moonlit clearing, the ground soft with fallen leaves. A lone herbivore steps cautiously into the open. From the trees, eyes watch. 1, 2, 3, they are never alone. Velociraptors, smaller than the movies make them, but far more dangerous because they hunted in packs. They communicate in silence, closing the circle tighter and tighter until the prey panics. That's when they strike, claws flashing, teeth tearing, each one working with the others until the target is down. It's not just a kill, it's coordination, intelligence, and efficiency honed over millions of years. Even the herbivores weren't always safe from other herbivores. Some species, pushed to desperation by drought or famine, turned on their own kind, scavenging or even attacking the weak. In a world where survival was all that mattered, predator and prey weren't always separate categories. If you were bigger, stronger, or faster than the creature next to you, it could mean the difference between life and death. And perhaps the most chilling thing, all of this was normal. To these creatures, the tearing of flesh, the fear in the air, the constant threat of ambush, it was simply life. For us, it's horror. For them, it was the only way to exist. But the story of these monsters isn't over, because some were so strange, so unlike anything we know today, that their very existence feels like something out of a nightmare. And they didn't just hunt dinosaurs, sometimes they hunted each other. The Cretaceous landscape was a constant test of strength. Every step a dinosaur took meant risking running into something bigger, faster, or hungrier. There were no rules, no mercy, only the simple truth that if you weren't hunting, you were being hunted. Picture a quiet floodplain at dusk. The light is fading into shades of orange and purple, and herds of hadrosaurs graze near the water's edge. They're massive in number, their sheer size meant to intimidate smaller predators. But lurking at the tree line is a shadow that dwarfs them all. A single foot steps forward, pressing into the mud. With the weight of a car, the air is heavy with silence until a head, scarred from old battles, emerges from the dark. Tyrannosaurus rex, 40 feet of muscle and bone-crushing power. Its jaws could snap through a hadrosaur's backbone in a single bite. The herd senses movement and freezes, their ears twitching. Then, chaos. Tails whip, feet slam the ground, and the earth seems to shake as the herd bolts. But T-Rex doesn't charge wildly, it singles out. The old, the injured, the slow. One wrong step from its target and the predator is on it, pulling it down in an explosion of mud and blood. Yet not every kill was a straightforward ambush. Some predators were opportunists, willing to take enormous risks if the reward was worth it. Take the infamous Allosaurus of the Jurassic, often called the Lion of the Jurassic, which sometimes went after prey even larger than itself. Paleontologists have found bite marks on the bones of sauropods like Apatosaurus, suggesting that Allosaurus may have targeted their young and occasionally the adults. Imagine it, a predator, barely reaching the height of its prey's legs, darting in to slash with claws and teeth, retreating before the massive tail could strike. It wasn't a quick kill. It was war. Days of relentless harassment until exhaustion did what teeth alone could not. But perhaps the most unnerving predators were the ones that didn't look like killers. At first glance, Truden, for example, was small, lightly built and covered in feathers. It could have been mistaken for harmless until you looked into its large, forward-facing eyes. Designed for perfect depth perception, with a brain-to-body ratio among the highest of any dinosaur, Truden could stalk and strategize with a level of cunning unseen in most other predators. At night, while the larger hunters rested, Truden prowled, targeting nests, stealing eggs, and sometimes even ambushing sleeping juveniles. And not all hunts were clean victories for the predators. Sometimes the prey fought back with devastating results. Ankylosaurs, armored from head to tail, carried a bony club capable of breaking legs. Triceratops could drive their horns deep into an attacker's chest. Fossils tell us that many predators bore the scars of failed hunts, limping through the rest of their lives after one bad encounter. The truth was, every hunter risked becoming the hunted. Rex might rule the plains, but an unlucky slip in the wrong river could make it dinner for a Mosasaurus. A raptor pack might take down a hadrosaur, only to be scattered when a larger carnivore arrived to steal the kill. Even the top of the food chain was never safe for long. And in this endless cycle of predator and prey, a chilling reality emerges. The most dangerous enemy a dinosaur faced was often another dinosaur. By the late Cretaceous, the world had grown even more extreme. Landscapes shifted with volcanic eruptions and rising seas, creating floodplains, dense forests, and inland oceans, all teeming with life, all hiding danger. Dinosaurs were still dominant, but everywhere they went, predators waited. On land, in the trees, in the rivers, and even in the sky. Along a wide riverbank, herds of ceratopsians graze quietly under the morning sun. Their horns glint, their frills shield them from minor threats, but from the water, a movement catches the eye. Dinosaurs, a giant crocodilian over 30 feet long, lies almost completely submerged, eyes just above the surface, barely disturbing the current. One step too close, one careless drink of water, and the predator explodes from the river, dragging a dinosaur screaming beneath the waves. The water churns red, and the rest of the herd flees, ears ringing, eyes wide with terror. In the forests, shadows move differently. Velociraptors hunt in coordinated packs, communicating silently through subtle movements and calls. They can chase down a wounded dinosaur, circling and attacking with precision. A single raptor might be small, but together they are a nightmare. Sharp teeth, claws that slice, and the brains to trap their prey before it even realizes it is being hunted. Fossils show the scars of these attacks, healed bites and broken bones that tell stories of close escapes and deadly efficiency. Above, the air is not safe either. Quetzalcoatlus glides silently, using its massive wingspan to ambush prey from above. It can scoop a small dinosaur or mammal from the ground in a single, fluid motion. Imagine the terror of looking up and seeing a shadow blotting the sun. Wings, stretching 40 feet, a beak sharp enough to pierce bone. Escape is nearly impossible. Even other dinosaurs weren't exempt from predation by their own kind. Fossils reveal evidence of cannibalism among large theropods. Tyrannosaurus rex, Allosaurus, and other predators sometimes turned on juveniles or injured adults of their own species. This was survival, ruthless, cold, and inevitable. No one had the luxury of safety. Every living creature, from the smallest lizard to the largest titanosaurs, had to constantly navigate threats from every direction. The oceans, too, were filled with predators. Mosasaurus and its relatives prowled the deep waters, capable of swallowing sea turtles, fish, and even smaller marine reptiles whole. The oceans of this time were more dangerous than any land environment. Creatures could strike from above, below, and all sides. Giant squids with tentacles covered in hooks, fast-swimming ichthyosaurs, and armored ammonites created a constant struggle for survival. Even size didn't guarantee safety. A Mosasaurus could be preyed upon by another of its kind. leaving no room for error. Nightfall brought a different terror. Bioluminescent fish lit up the dark waters, small flickers resembling stars. But these lights were not benign. Some predators used them as lures, attracting smaller creatures close enough to strike. On land, nocturnal hunters like Truden moved, with stealth, preying on eggs, juveniles, or the unwary. Darkness was a weapon, a cover for both predator and prey, and mistakes at night often meant instant death. The lesson from this ancient world is chilling. Life was a constant battle. Dominance was never permanent. Even the largest, fiercest dinosaurs could be taken down by the right predator at the right moment. Fossils show broken bones, bite marks, and evidence of struggle. A silent record of violence that spanned millions of years. Survival required speed, intelligence, strength, and a little luck. And yet, despite the danger, this world thrived. Every predator and prey contributed to a delicate, deadly balance, creating a web of life where every species shaped the evolution of the others. What we see in museums, skeletons carefully reconstructed, life-size replicas, barely scratches the surface. These were not static creatures frozen in time. They were part of an ever-changing world of predators and prey, an epic story of survival, adaptation, and relentless competition. Millions of years later, when the asteroid struck and ended the age of dinosaurs, it didn't just destroy the giants, it erased an entire web of predators and prey, leaving oceans and forests eerily empty compared to the violence and diversity that had once ruled. But the fossils remain, teeth embedded in bones, shells crushed by jaws, and skeletons locked in eternal struggle. They are the last evidence of a world where monsters truly ruled, and dinosaurs themselves had to fight to survive every day.